Okay, so welcome everyone to the fourth session of Flutter Festival. In this session, we will be learning about how you could add animations in your Flutter app. So, to begin with, I will just show you some sort of animations. So, like you can see, there's a card just moving with each other, right? So, just sorry for this. Yeah, just wait a minute. Mm, so yeah, sorry for the disturbance. So we are going to learn about how to create animations in Flutter. So first of all, we will learn about two types of animations. So the first one is an animation which is created using just Flutter. Like you can see these widgets are moving automatically, right? See here also, and there are some other kind of animations like if just yeah you can see this loading animation, right? It is something more like a drawing rather than some widgets moving around your screen. So we will be learning about how you will create these both kind of these both kind of animations. The first one is this kind of animation, which appears more like a drawing rather than Flutter widgets moving from one position to another, like you can see here. Okay, so to begin with, so these kind of drawing animations are made using lottie files. So many of you will be aware about what are lottie files, but I will just give you a brief overview of that. So to use a lottie file, you can just head on to Google and search for lottie, in which you can find this lottiefiles.com website. Just go to that website and you can discover many animations here. So yeah, I will just go to discover and free animations. So there are some animations that are paid, but yeah, you can look to free animations here. So yeah, so these are some animations that I can use in my Flutter app. So uh, so I mean, which should I take? So suppose I want to take this animation. So what I will do is simply just click on this animation and download it as an lottie JSON. But first of all, let's just create a new project, a new Flutter project. We'll just create a new Flutter project using Flutter create command, and we'll give name to this project as animations Flutter. Simple, right? So yeah, just let it create the project. Yeah, so the project is created, and let me just open this project in VS Code. Okay, so the first thing to use Lottie animations is you will create a folder which you can name anything, but but most of the developers name it as assets, and I will follow the naming convention here. By the way, you can create it as any name that you want. By mistake, I have created this as a file, but yeah, you have to create a folder here. assets. Yeah. And then in your pubspec.yaml file, you have to specify that you are using some assets. So to do that, we'll simply just uncomment this code. Yeah, just a note that you should not mess with the indentations in the pubspec.yaml file. Just remember that. Okay, and now you will simply write the name of the directory here in which you will be storing your assets. In this case, it is the assets folder. Okay, and this slash is necessary to put after writing these assets to just tell Flutter that you will be using all the files that will be there in this assets folder. Okay, so let me just simply save this file. So it will just run pubget. Yeah, it just completed it and it ran successfully. So now what we will do is we will just download this lottie JSON. Uh, it seems like I have to sign up. Yeah, I haven't used lottie on this system yet. So yeah, so yeah, which animation will? Okay, so we want this animation to be displayed in our app. So we will download it as a lottie JSON and we will just put it in our apps assets folder. We will just rename this animation as yeah, it was walking ball. So let me just name it like this, walking ball.json, and then save it here. And to use lottie animations in Flutter, you will be needing an app. You will be needing a package known as lottie. You can just get info about lottie on pub.dev. So yeah, here it is. So you can get complete documentation of how you can use a package in Flutter at pub.dev. You can just check out pub.dev for any new packages that you are using in your Flutter app. Okay. So to uh, uh, get this package as a dependency in our project, you will just head on to terminal and simply write flutter pub add and the name of the package. In this case, it is Lottie. You don't have to mention the version number here. Just mention the name and press enter. And so this will just get the package from pub.dev into our Flutter application. So yeah, I just did it. And the manual way of doing it is just going to prospect.yml and under dependencies you can add this line. But it is very cumbersome, and if you mess with the indentations in this file, it will be very difficult to fix it. So I would advise you to use this flutter pub add command. Okay. So now we will head on to our main.dart file. I will just remove all the code that is here and I will import the material library. Uh, so here it is, and I will create a main method. I will just increase the text size to make it more visible to you. Okay, okay, and in this main method, I will pass a run app function in which I will pass a material app, and in the home of material app, I will pass a scaffold. Inside the body parameter of scaffold, I will pass a center. Inside a center, I will pass a child, which would be a Lottie package. And as you can see on this pub.dev, you can use a Lottie in your asset through lottie.asset builder. Okay, so I will just simply use Lottie. Here's my offset. Okay, Lottie dot asset. So I would have to import this. So I have just pressed Control and full stop on VS Code. On Android Studio, you can press Alt and Enter to get these suggestions, and you will simply click on Import Library package Lottie slash Lottie dot dot. So yeah, and in this parameter, as you can see here, you have to pass the location of the Lottie animation file. For us, it is assets slash walking ball dot json. And to simply just get this, you can uh, right click on the file and copy the relative path, and then simply paste it here. That would work. Okay. And now to correct the indentations, I would just insert comma everywhere where is needed. And to auto format, I would use Control Shift I on Ubuntu, and on Windows you can use Control Shift F for VS Code, and for Android Studio you can use the shortcut Control plus Shift plus Alt plus L. It is a large command for Android Studio, but in Android Studio you can simply just right click, and there is a option to format the document just like we have here on VS Code too. Okay, but yeah, it's good to remember shortcuts if you can. It will help. So I have just saved this, and I will just run this file. Uh, I will just get my emulator here. Okay. Let us just wait for Gradle to run. While if you have any doubts, you can post it here. Okay, so it is taking longer than expected time to build. Maybe it is due to the new package being added. So yeah, I would just to show you an amazing resource to increase your knowledge about animations in Flutter. So yeah, there is this guy named Marcin. Oh, he has, I think I have spelled his name correct. I mean, he has an awesome video on YouTube showing what you can do with animations in Flutter. So I will just copy this link and paste it in the live stream chat. So I will strongly suggest you to watch this video too after watching this session. It is still running. Yeah. So you also have this dot network builder in which you can pass a URL of the Lottie animation. That is also cool. But in production ready apps, I would suggest you to use this asset builder, since a file locally stored on your phone is more readily accessible to you rather than just getting something from network. Okay, and your if the phone doesn't has an internet connection, then this thing will not work. So yeah, I would advise you to use this lottie dot asset thing. It will increase your app size a little bit, but not too much. So yeah, you can see this animation right here. So yeah, it is cool, and yeah, we have this debug banner here, which we can remove here. We will just in the material lab, we will just use this debug show start banner and just keep it as false. It will remove this banner. Maybe I have to reload the app. Yeah. So this is how you can use animations in Flutter, which are more like a drawing. And one more cool thing which I would like to show you is there is this thing called as Rive. It is still in early stages, but there is a lot you can do in terms of animations with Rive rather than Lottie. So you can check this out too. I mean, there is a YouTube video from developers at Rive which would show you how you can use Rive in Flutter. So I'm not completely showing you how you can use Rive in Flutter, but yeah, I mean you can always check this out after this video. I mean I am adding this link in the comment here. Okay. Yeah, I mean I will just show you a sneak peek of it.
Who, as you can see, is kind of sitting
So
there
yeah.
animating, hiding behind the login form. But what you'll note is that his eyes are moving, his body's bobbing up. The thing about if I click on this email field here, you'll see that his eyes moved over. And if I start typing my email address, you'll see that he actually follows along, even if I type something all the way over here.
So yeah, this is very cool that this guy is typing something, and the eyes of this deer or whatever animal it is, it is following the cursor of the person. So that is very cool. You can check out Drive in this video. Okay. So yeah, this was about animations which appear more like a drawing. Okay. So now we will. So this was it. So now we will learn about animations which you can create through Flutter widgets. Okay. So the most simple one animations are. Okay, just let me remove this first. And here I will create a stateful widget, and I will name it as the home page or whatever you want to name. You can name it, right? And I will specify it here, home page. Done. And I will just insert this constant here because this thing is constant, and adding this constant to a constant thing will make our app faster. So, ins- so inside the home page, I would add a scaffold, and inside the scaffold, I would add a column uh, in the body tag of in the body parameter of scaffold. I would add a column. Excuse me. So the column we would have children's. So first of all, I would give a sized box which would be of height 100. And then I would pass a container here, which would be uh, just wait a minute. Yeah, which would be having a width as 100 and height 2 as 100, which would be having a decoration of type box decoration, color. Uh, Let me just have it as amber. Now I would add some border radius to it. It is completely optional. Just to make it more beautiful, I'm adding this thing. Okay, and I will just have 16 as a border radius. Cool. And yeah, this thing is this size box is is a constant, so I will add const here. Done. And maybe I have to reload this app to show the changes. So yeah, so you can see that there is this container here which is completely stationary, but you can move this container or control the transparency using animations and Flutter. So yeah, I will just wrap this container with a widget which will be a animated something. So let me just make first an animated opacity widget. Okay, so this would be having a required parameter called opacity. So I will just quick fix it, and yeah, you also have to give duration parameter here. It is also a required parameter. So yeah, opacity and duration. So duration, I will just pass it as a constant duration of what I should do of 1 second. Yeah, that would be enough to see the animation. And for opacity, what I will do is I would create a, a variable called opacity here. Opacity. Uh, what is it? Yeah. So initially that will be let's say 1. So yeah. So yeah, here it is written that opacity of 1 is fully opaque and opacity of 0 is fully transparent. Okay. So here I am uh, creating this opacity variable, and to this scaffold I am adding a floating action button, and in this case I am using this extended builder to create a floating action button which is a bit larger than a normal one in terms of horizontal space. And as a label I have to pass a widget, so I will pass a text widget which will be called as change opacity. Okay, and yeah, it is a constant thing. And I will just quickly format this thing. Mm, yeah, there is some problem somewhere due to which it is not here. Opacity here I will pass this opacity variable which I just created. So yeah, many of you will be wondering that why I put underscore here. So underscore before a variable name and dot suggests that this variable would be a private variable. So so you maybe you will be knowing about access modifiers which are public, private, protected, etc. You may have learned in about this during object during learning about object oriented programming, and if you don't know, you don't need to worry about it. You will learn about it later. Okay, so in this on pressed function I will just call the set state, and in the set state I will just provide a condition that if the opacity is 1, then just make that opacity 0, else make that opacity as 1. So what this thing will do is, if the opacity is 1, it will to set it as 0, and if the opacity is 0, I mean opacity cannot be anything except yeah, I mean it can be, but if it is 0, then it will be set, I mean anything other than 1, it will set the opacity as 1 here. So, and yeah, we are passing this opacity variable here, which will control the opacity of this container. Okay, so yeah, let me just press here. So yeah, you can see the opacity is changing. So if I increase the time duration here, let me make it 5 seconds. Yeah, you can see that the opacity is going on slowly and it is coming up slowly, right? So yeah, it is also very cool, and you also have some another animated widgets. So let me just call this opacity thing something else, as we will use it a lot here, right? I would replace this thing as value everywhere in the document, right? So yeah, just let me check that this code is still running perfectly. So yeah, it is still running perfectly. So let me just change this opacity, this animated opacity widget, and make it to animate something else. So you can have all these animated widgets. So suppose I am making it as animated scale. So here you won't have an opacity parameter. You would have a scale parameter. You will just take a variable here, okay? And if I just change this here, so it will I will just name this button as change value here. Yeah. So as you can see, the the size of the scale of the container initially was 1 as being set by the value, but as I press this floating action button, it checks that the value is 1, so it tries to make it 0. And what this animated scale widget does is it takes 5 seconds to go from whatever value it was to whatever the new value that we are passing. So it goes from scale 1 to scale 0 in duration 5 seconds when I press this button. Okay, and yeah, so you can just change. Okay, so let it just decrease to 0. Okay, so yeah, in this case opa- the scale of the container is 0 as the value of this underscore value variable is 0. So when I will press this button, it will see that the value is not here 1 now, so it would uh, just run this thing and will make the value as 1. So what it will do is change the value from 0 to 1, which will increase the size of the container here. Okay, so uh, let me just try some other animated with widgets. So yeah, you can have a rotation animation too. Let me just see what is the required parameter here. So yeah, it requires turns as a parameter. I haven't tried out this widget yet, but yeah, you can see how simple it is to try out a new widget. You just have to simply hover over it and see what are the parameters that it requires, or what are the parameters that you can enter to it to just play around with it, right? So I will just change value of it, and yeah, as you can see, it is rotating. So yeah, maybe it is making a full turn when we are going from 0 to 1 value, and making a reverse full turn when we are going from 1 to 0 value. So let's just see. Yeah, I mean, let me just make this animation a bit shorter so that we can see it more clearly. So this edge was yeah. So yeah, this what animated rotation is doing it. If we are taking value from 0 to 1, then it is moving this. container. It is moving this contain. Just let me reload the app to have a proper understanding of it. Okay. So if we are moving from 0 to 1, then it is rotating this container in anti-clockwise direction for one complete rotation. And if we are going from value 1 to 0, it is rotating this container in a clockwise direction with a one complete turn. So yeah, that was one thing. And just let me go again to animated scale. I just want to show you something very cool that I just missed it. So there's a scale parameter, right? Or by mistake I with the size. So yeah, I required the animated scale. Okay, so it is, yeah, just the usual animated scale thing, right? I will decrease its duration so that it would appear more better. Yeah, and what you can do here is you can add a custom curve to it. So for example, I would uh, pass a curve, bounce in and out. So yeah, it will do create something. Yeah, as you can see here, that it is creating a bouncing curve. So yeah, just let us dive some a bit deeper into what are animation curves. So yeah, these are some animation curves which are there in Flutter. So as you can see, this is a bouncing curve. So what it does is it goes from one value to another in this graph in this way. If we are not specifying any curve, the default curve that is inferred by Flutter is a linear curve which goes as a straight line from initial value to the final value. But yeah, you can have variations in the curve, like you can have this bounce in curve, a bounce in and out curve, a bounce out curve, a deaccelerate curve, a ease curve, ease in sign, yeah, and all these things. So let me just show you ease in out curve. You would be using this a lot in your widgets. Yeah. What it will do is, while you are moving from one extreme value to another extreme value, what it will do is, when you are just starting from the extreme value, it would keep the animation a bit slow. So I mean, you can see the graph area. So just when you are starting the animation, the speed is a bit slow, then the speed increases, and the speed again becomes slow when the animation is just getting to be over. So yeah, this was about adding curves to the animation. Now you can use some more anime. I mean, yeah, this was some animated widgets. So yeah. You can create even more exciting animations using an animated builder. So for using animated builder, you have to uh, just use this single ticker provider state mixin in the homepage state class. So let me just add this thing. So yeah, this thing is necessary if you want to use animated builder class, animated builder widget. So and then here you would create a animation controller. So let me just create an animation controller, and this late word here denotes that I am telling Dart that I currently I am not assigning any value to this, but in future I would assign a value to this. So using late in Flutter or you may have noticed that in C++ you don't have to mention anything like late here. You just have to specify the data type of the variable and the name of the variable. That works. But in case of Dart is a Dart doesn't support null null variables. So to create a null variable, either you can use this late keyword, or you can use a question mark after the variable name, and then sorry, the data type of the variable and then the name of the variable. Okay, so this is how you can create a null variables in Flutter. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it is very great that Flutter doesn't allow you to create null values here, right? You will learn about this when, I mean, if you had experience getting a null value while just creating a code, and which will just completely crash the app. So in case of Flutter, there will be nothing like that. So let me just grab this container, and yeah, let me just remove everything from animation builder. Yeah. So first of all, I have to create an animation controller here, and then yeah, in the init state, you have to just mention what the controller would be like. Okay, so yeah, I will just create this instate method, and in this I will just tell the tell Flutter how the controller will function, right? So vsync in vsync we would have to pass the context of the widget that is currently here. No, sorry, we have to pass the ticker provider. By using this keyword, we can get the ticker provider here. Okay, and then we can pass a duration and animation behavior. So for a duration, the duration would be uh, that it be 1 second. Okay, and animation behavior, let it be animation behavior dot preserve. So let us just see that what this code does. So yeah, first of all, we will just make it constant, add a comma here, which would help us to format this thing. And yeah, we have just formatted this thing now here. And yeah, let me just remove the set state thing here. So yeah, for animated builder, you need two things. First of all is animation, and then other thing is builder. So what you will do is, uh, for animation property, you will simply pass the controller that you have created, and for builder, you will create the builder which will return your container or anything that you have. Okay. So let us just go through how this thing is working. Okay. So we have here a transform widget. A transform widget is used to just transform any parameter of a widget of its child widget. So here we are using a transform widget to just translate the uh, child which it has, in which in this case it is a row. So yeah, and I will just wrap it with a transform widget, and we have to pass a transform as a required parameter. So we'll pass identity matrix, and then apply transformation to it. So applying transformation is like yeah, just passing anything, I mean any number to it. So just let me pass a controller's value, maybe multiply by 10 so that we can see the thing. Okay. Why it is not working? Maybe I have to. Oh, okay. It was not transform. It was translate. Yeah. Now it should work. Yeah, it is working now. So yeah, this is the code now. If I run this, okay. So there is some issue here. Yeah. So yeah, it is here written that the controller has not been initialized. Since we have initialized the controller in the init state method, when we hot to reload the app, the init state method is not called, just the build method is called, due to which it is showing this error that the controller has not been initialized. And to run this init state method, what we would have to do is we would have to reload the app. So yeah, sorry, we would have to restart the app. Guys, you can see the app is restarted, and maybe you can just in this on press thing you can pass. Uh, so yeah, the controller has some properties which we can use here to create a function to just toggle between on and off. So yeah, I mean we have this function ready. You just simply grab this code. Yeah. So what this code does is, so we have this is dismissed property of control of animation controller. It will show that whether this animation is stopped at the beginning or not. So if it is stopped at the beginning, what we will do is we will tell the controller to go in forward direction, or else we will tell the controller to go in the reverse direction. Okay, and we will pass this on press. We will pass this toggle method here. So yeah, it will simply help us to toggle the value. So yeah, you can see that uh, it is getting translated to some value. So if you just multiply it by, let's say, 50, then you can see that it is going much farther. So the controller's value moves from 0 to 1 during forward and 1 to 0 during reverse. So yeah, in here I am multiplying that value by 50. So when the controller is going in forward direction, it moves from 0, 0 in x to 50 in x. And uh, when the controller dot reverse is called, what it does is it is moving from x as 50 to x as 0. So yeah, so this is what this uh, so in animated builder you can just play around with anything that you like. So suppose I want to play with build I want to play with widget, sorry, the width of the container here. So I will just simply write width as controller dot value multiplied by 100. So what this will do is something very great. Yeah. So you can see this kind of animation here. So yeah, I mean you can do it anywhere you want. Suppose you want to just play around with the border radius of this thing, right? So you can do that too here. So yeah, you can see that the border radius is just getting larger. Let me pass here 50. It will be great to see. Yeah. So you can see that a square is transforming into a circle here. So let me just increase the width to have a more better understanding. Yeah. So yeah, as you can see, you can just use this animated builder to have any animation that you want. You can even it is something that you can do. So I will just make it as the color as 100 multiplied by uh, what I should do. Yeah, controller dot value. So the plus operator doesn't works on color. So what I would do is I would pass a color as what should I pass? The R value should be full. The G value should be full. So yeah, let me just reduce it a bit. That will make it 34, and the B value is 70. Oh, sorry, 00. Okay, and then I can just add controller dot value multiplied by, let's say, 1000 to it. Argument num can't be assigned to the parameter type integer. So yeah, since the controller dot value is a double, we need to convert it to integers. So yeah, let us just see how we can parse a double value to a integer value in Dart. Okay. So yeah, you can just simply Google uh, parse double to int in Flutter. So yeah, as you can see here that where it is. So yeah, I just remembered this thing. Should work, I think. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah, maybe it is integer dot pass. No? Okay, so first of all, this is the controller, and maybe we can just convert it to int like this. Um, so yeah, two int method is not supported in Dart, or maybe here it is. Yeah, what is this? Yeah, maybe let it be just like this. I think there was some issue using hex with this thing. So where it is gone. I think there is something wrong with this. Let me just make it like this. Uh, uh, I can't figure out what is wrong here. So yeah, maybe just try it out by yourself. Yeah. So let me just try it one more time. I am passing a color here, and then I am multiplying it by controller dot value here, and I will just parse this whole thing to an integer. So yeah, the integer dot int dot parse works on a string. Yeah, it doesn't work on Flutter. Sorry, wrong double. Mm, yeah, I don't know what is wrong with here. Let's let it be what it was. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, as you can see that we can use controller dot value to animate anything that we want here. Yeah. So that was something about using animations in Flutter. And as I said, just to go through these two videos that I have added in the comment section to learn more about animations in Flutter. So this was it from my side. If you have any doubt in it, you can just ask it here in the comment section. Maybe in the next session, I will just figure out why adding the controller's value didn't work for color. Yeah. I mean, I remember that I I was able to animate the value of color, but yeah, I mean, uh, at this time I'm getting some issues with that. So yeah, is there any doubt? You can just post it in comments. I can read it here. So yeah. So no, I think we don't have any doubt. So I will just end this session here. So is it all right? Uh, okay, I will just end this session here. Okay, so bye everyone. This was the session of Flutter Festival about having animations in your app. I think that you learned about how you can create any animation that you want in your app. So that was it from my side. You can refer to these two videos, and let's meet in the next session in which we will be learning about how you can create a full app in which you can use the Spotify API to see to just get recommendations of songs. Okay, so bye.